So these are the Sony 3D Pulse wireless headset that was released just a few weeks ago. Now, I actually picked these up about a week before the PlayStation 5 came out, and at the time, I used them to play a little bit on the PlayStation 4 since it is compatible with that. However, I really didn't feel comfortable making a video about it until I got a chance to try it with the PlayStation 5, but now I've done that. So today what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the aesthetics and the design of these headphones, or headset I guess I should say, and then also what the performance has been like in playing both on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, because there's definitely been a difference, but I'll get to that in a minute. For now, let's just go ahead and start with the aesthetics and a little bit of background on the design of the 3D Pulse wireless headset. And for starters, I have to say, I like the design. It perfectly matches the aesthetic of the PlayStation 5 and its various other accessories, and if you watched the video that I made a few weeks back, you know that this was one of the things that I thought was nice to have, and ultimately some became available nearby at my local Walmart. Ended up grabbing one, and I thought that I would go ahead and do a quick impressions piece of it again when I was playing on the PlayStation 4, but now that I've had a chance to experience the 3D audio effect on the PS4 and the PlayStation 5, so getting back to the aesthetics, I really like it. It is a very clean, very simple design, which is, again, perfectly in line with the other PlayStation 5 accessories. It's just got a lot of white and black, and it's just got a very simple, monochromatic sort of look. I also particularly like that there are not a lot of moving parts in terms of the headband and how it actually rests on your head. To me, it seems like it's kind of borrowing some design cues from the Arctis series of headsets. So you can be reasonably sure whenever you go to put it on that it's going to rest comfortably on your head, as the sides just sort of naturally kind of respond, and the rubber of the headband kind of moves up and down a little bit to make sure that it's going to fit your skull okay. And because it sort of built the adjustability in to be kind of automatic on that interior rubber piece, that means the outside band that stretches over your head is actually just one continuous piece with no moving parts, no joints, nothing to slide up and down, which I'm hoping will, mean that it's not going to break, because I have had headphones before that had adjustable bands like that on the actual frame of the headphones, and over time, eventually I would find that I would either snap one, or it would just naturally be a little bit more prone to breaking. Now, one way that it is different from the Arctis Series 5 headset, which is the one that I had been using for a very long time, is that the ear cups are actually a faux leather sort of plush material instead of kind of a breathable mesh kind of fabric material. As for whether or not you'll find that comfortable is really going to be a matter of personal preference. On the one hand, it is a very soft, cushy material, and it does feel good as it kind of presses against your skull without feeling like it's too tight. But on the other hand, this tends to not be a very breathable material, so if you're somebody who's prone to sweating whenever you play games, you may find these to get really hot on your ears. For me, it wasn't really a huge deal, but if comfort's really important to you, or if you're prone to playing really long marathon gaming sessions with a headset on, it might be something to take into consideration. Also, where the band connects to the ear cups, I like that it has this really smooth design that kind of rolls into the ear cups, because that means that every time I go to grab it, I'm never confused about which orientation is the correct one, as long as I know the white band is pointing forward, which is kind of natural the way your fingers curve around it when you pick it up. You sort of know that you're not going to accidentally have it on backwards. But if you do have trouble remembering it, there is a giant L and R that's printed on the inside of the headset, so you can always look there, I guess, if you constantly end up putting it on backwards. So moving on from the band and the actual comfort of the ear cups, let's move on to the functionality that's sort of built into the left one here. And as you can see, there is a whole lot going on. That's not a bad thing that there's a whole lot going on, but there's at least a little bit of a learning curve whenever you get this headset, because there are so many controls you can hit, and if you don't kind of build your muscle memory of figuring out where everything is on the left ear cup, you might accidentally adjust the wrong setting. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through all of them right now. So starting at the very front, you'll see a tiny dot, which is the main microphone that you're going to be speaking into. Right next to that, you've got your power button, obviously for turning the unit on and off. Moving down from there at the 6 o'clock position, we've got a 3.5mm jack if you want to use this headset wired. Next to that, there's a USB-C port for charging the headset for wireless play. Now, they've said that you get about 12 hours of this, and that seems to be about right in my own testing, and it takes about 3 hours to charge this thing up according to the included documentation. Next to the USB-C port, you have a mic mute button, which when it's popped out and in the muted position, you can see there's a nice little orange highlight there to sort of let you know that it's in the muted position, even though you wouldn't really see it when you're wearing it, I guess. Next to the mute button, you've got your volume rocker. And next to that, you've got a monitor switch, so if you do want to hear how you're sounding to other people, you can turn that on and you'll hear yourself in the headset. And next to that, probably my favorite physical feature of this headset, and that is that they have a dedicated chat game rocker so that you can adjust the mix of game audio to chat audio. So if you have a game that's really loud, you're having trouble hearing your teammates, or vice versa, you've got a really loud teammate and you want to hear the audio of the game better, you can make adjustments directly here instead of jumping into the settings on the PS5 to adjust that setting manually. And finally, next to that, you've got another microphone, which is used to create some isolation where the headset will actually pick up ambient noise and then try to drown that out so that your teammates can hear you more clearly. clearly. Mind you, that's not for active noise cancellation or anything like that, so it's not going to isolate what you hear any better necessarily, just what your teammates are going to hear on the other end. If these things had active noise cancellation, they would probably be a lot more expensive than 99 bucks. Now, as for setup for both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, it's pretty quick and painless. There's an included USB dongle, you just plug it in and then turn on your headset and it instantly connects and is just working. And all the physical controls that I just went through do work on both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. The only real difference between the two is that on the PlayStation 4, you get a little pop-up in the left-hand corner that lets you know, hey, you're adjusting controls right now, but it doesn't really show them dynamically adjusted in real time on screen. Meanwhile, on the PlayStation 5, if you do something like adjust the volume, or if you adjust the chat to game mixer, it will actually have a little slider that shows up on screen, which is kind of nice to let you know kind of where you're at in that range. My only complaint is not really with the headset itself, but rather aimed squarely at Sony, and that is that, again, in the PlayStation 5 era, they have made it so that the audio can go to a headset or it can go to the HDMI out, but it cannot go to both at the same time, which is incredibly frustrating as a content creator, and I don't know why they keep hamstringing streamers like this who want to make sure that, you know, their chat audio and everything is just gonna go both to their headset and also to a capture card that they might be using to capture footage or to stream. That really, really sucks, and I wish they hadn't done that. But regardless of my irritation at the fact that we can't get the audio to both places at once, it's still pretty cool that all of the controls work on both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, because again, just being able to adjust the chat game audio balance is incredibly convenient. So what's it like actually using this thing? I'll break it down into two separate experiences. One is if you're playing a single player game that's incredibly atmospheric, like I tested with Days Gone and also with Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation 4, it really does sound incredible. However, not every game supports 3D audio, and you actually have to go into the settings manually to enable this, and that's exactly what I did on Ghost of Tsushima, and that's what I did in Days Gone, and both of those experiences sounded really, really great. And I thought those were pretty good games to use for testing purposes because, one, there's not, again, a ton of games that support 3D audio anyways, but both of those also demand a certain degree of situational awareness, right? Because, you know, in Days Gone, you're in a zombie wasteland, so at any point you could run into danger or have something creeping up behind you, and being able to hear all of that in 3D audio space was really, really cool, and it really added a level of immersion to the game that I really hadn't experienced prior. And likewise too, Ghost of Tsushima is also a really good game to test this with. As you know, the sound design in Ghost of Tsushima is absolutely stellar, and as you sort of like ride over like rolling plains or climb up mountains and hear wind sort of whipping past you, or you hear like the far off conversations of, you know, the Mongol hordes who may be camped out waiting to ambush you, it's really cool to sort of hear all that stuff in a 3D sort of space. Now if you're wondering what the difference is between surround sound and 3D audio as I did, essentially surround sound, as the name suggests, surrounds you, however it's all just on one plane. If you think of 3D audio, apparently it's supposed to also take into account, you know, the verticality of, you know, sound and the direction that it would come from. So it's like sound can come at you from basically any point in a 360-degree sphere around you, is the way I understand it. That could be a bunch of marketing nonsense, I'm not 100% sure. If you're an audio expert, please clarify in the comments for everybody else's benefit, because I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to 3D audio. That being said, it sounds really, really good, and because I can't objectively tell you as an audiophile, you know, things about like the highs or the mids or the lows, or really do a deep dive into the technical side of things, all I can tell you is my personal experience that it sounds pretty incredible. And I will tell you that Incredible Sounds extends even more so to the PlayStation 5. Particularly the games that I've played so far with it include Demon's Souls and Miles Morales. Now they both sound really, really good. In Miles Morales, it is amazing to just sort of stand out in the middle of New York City and hear all of the conversations of all of the passerbys around you and all of the sounds of the city. And at one point in the game I was in an apartment and I could hear sort of ambient noise from other tenants that lived in the building, and for a second I thought it was my neighbors, and that was pretty amazing because I actually took off my headset because I was confused and thought I heard something, but it was just the game audio. And that was crazy. I don't think I've ever had an experience before where I heard something and I wasn't sure if it was the game or something from the real world, so that was kind of cool. But the sound design in Demon's Souls is absolutely incredible. I mean, it sounds incredible without 3D audio, but whenever you throw these things into the mix, there are times where not only does it just sort of sound amazing on its own merit, just hearing, you know, this sort of dark, desolate world and the monsters that inhabit it, but there were a few times where, tactically speaking, it totally saved my bacon because I could hear a monster lying in wait for me in a darkened corner of a room or around a door frame, and I knew to prepare for it only because of the audio cues that were present, and it all sounds incredible. And it's not just that you can make out those details, but truly, directionally speaking, you have some sense of where that sound is coming from, which gives you a little bit of an edge in games where, you know, again, situational awareness is incredibly helpful to ensuring your survival. So single player experiences on both the PS4 and the PS5 even more so sound great, but I also got to test it in multiplayer as well a little bit to kind of see what my teammates thought of how my voice sounded and how their voice sounded. And Chips and Sticks, who I recently did a collab with on Spider-Man Miles Morales, he played some Ghost of Tsushima with me, and I got to kind of hear how his voice sounded coming through, and he got to hear how my voice sounded coming through on the headset, and we both had a really good experience with it. I didn't have any trouble hearing him. I don't think he had any trouble hearing me. So I haven't spent as much time in multiplayer as I have single player, just sort of soaking in the 3D audio, but yeah. To kind of wrap this whole thing up, I would say that for 99 bucks, this seems like a really solid buy. I mean, the 3D audio, notwithstanding, there's just a lot of really nice functionality here in terms of just having quick access to controls that you probably tinker with on a regular basis if you do use a headset a lot. So being able to get to those things quickly and easily in a comfortable, reasonably affordable headset without having to like dig into a menu to adjust those settings is really convenient, and I'm really happy that I got it. The only real gripe is that I might have preferred to have like the fabric, more breathable material for the ear cups, but again, a pretty minor gripe. And if you're in the market for a new headset, especially if you're somebody who games exclusively on the PlayStation 5, I think this is a really solid offering. Now, if you already have a headset that's working perfectly fine for you and you don't care about, the sort of immersive aspect of 3D audio, or that's just not something that appeals to you, or you've already got an amazing sound system, you might be able to pass on it. But if you're looking for something that pulls double duty as both a really comfortable wireless headset, gives you the 3D audio experience, and then as a bonus gives you a whole lot of, easy access to controls that you probably have to dig into menus for, I think it's a good buy. And that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the 3D Pulse wireless headset. But hey, what about you? Is this something you were thinking about buying? Did you already get one? Also, if you were on the fence about it or have any further questions about this unit that I didn't answer very well, let me know in the comments below. Or if you have corrections, if you are a hardcore audio person, you can explain this better than I can, please let people know in the comments. I would love to benefit from that as well. As always, thanks for watching the channel. If you're new here and you like content like this, make sure you stop by on Thursdays. That's usually when it drops. And subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.